You're telling me he's back?
Well now. You certainly have been busy, haven't you? I suppose the sting of failure is a magnificent motivator.
Hey! Hello, I'm Luna, local Critical Role lore nerd, and today I'm discussing episodes 74 and 75 of Campaign 3, so spoiler warnings. We're gonna get into all of the juicy lore around Evontra'vir and the necropolis of Toramunda, but first I gotta talk about the reappearance of everyone's least favorite crusty wizard, Ludinus. So it was revealed at the end of episode 74 that somebody was scrying on the party, which, you know, makes sense. The group have done their fair share of scrying on people, and I imagine Ludinus would, you know, want to keep tabs on what they're up to. He obviously knows that they're still trying to, like, mess up his business. And the reveal of this scry had the desired impact, which is that it brought to a halt this little lull that we've had, this little breather, and it's forced the party to get moving again. Honestly, I'm in two minds about this because, yeah, it is good to keep the story moving and to have some, like, action going on, but also I really enjoyed that kind of rest and breather and a little more chance to explore some kind of like fun, silly side quests. So yeah, I don't know. It's like, I knew it was coming, but I'm sad that it's here. Plus, I really echoed Travis's sentiments.
But we're in the Shattered Teeth. Are we really leaving?
Isn't there somewhere else we have to go?
It's so nice here. There's 41 islands or what? How many? 43.
43. I think
We've been on 2.
Like, we just got here. We just got to the Shattered Teeth. I really desperately wanted them to have more time to explore and potentially uncover, like, the ruins of Avalir or Cathmoira and, like, meet more of the people who live on these islands and just, like, generally hang out a bit more. But as my favorite crusty old wizard would say,
fate spins along as it should.
And this scrying orb motivates the party to jump through the portal, helpfully provided by Evontra'vir, to the Athos Peak in search of a fragment of the fire titan Raushan. Hope I'm saying that right. Raushan? Raushan. After the truly unhinged shenanigans of both Ashton and Fern jumping into a pool filled with lava, are you crazy?
I'm gonna jump in.
Oh, now two!
Okay.
They retrieve the shard, but before they can really do anything with it, Ludinus turns up. But it's not actually Ludinus, it's a simulacrum of him. I guess it's Ludinus Lite. Simulacrum is a 7th level spell in which a spellcaster can create a copy of themselves made out of snow or ash, as well as 1500 gold worth of powdered ruby. It's not a cheap spell. This copy, the Simulacrum, has half the hit points of the spellcaster. It doesn't have any of its equipment, but it is in like every other way essentially the same being. It's able to cast the same spells, take the same actions as the original spellcaster, and this is not the first time that we've seen a Simulacrum in Critical Role. It's heavily implied that the attackers on Zephyra that killed Aram's family were Simulacrums.
A few of those assailants were dropped, and they evaporated, melted before our eyes.
It makes a lot of sense for Ludinus to use these simulacrums, because why would he risk his own mortal flesh that he's clearly worked very hard to keep alive, you know, in a confrontation? He's not gonna send out his own meat sack to do that. I love how he tried to do his like villain monologue, but Imogen just like completely interrupted him by throwing lava in his face.
You sly dog! You got me monologuing!
I can't remember who it was. It was a YouTuber, maybe Matt Colville. I can't remember who it was, but it was essentially someone who said that every big bad evil guy should get a free lair action, which is like monologue, that there's a players cannot interrupt the monologue while it is happening. It's part of their like legendary actions. This whole fight was so fun. I absolutely loved the danger of the terrain and them using their skills to like push the baddies into the lava. It was honestly the most engaged that I've been in a fight in ages. And it was also really cool to see some Ryloran in the fight, you know, these aliens infiltrating Exandria, especially the Juggernaut. Like, I really hope we get to see a stat block or, you know, some more artwork of that at some point. Probably the standout moment from this fight though was when Ludinus successfully pulls off a counter spell on a 9th level spell.
Looks out and begins to mutter an incantation under his breath. As his fingers spread, the air seems to shimmer. I need 30-foot radius sphere.
Counterspell!
What's he doing?
Counterspell?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a 60-foot range.
Yeah.
You are within 60 feet. Go ahead and roll to see if you counter it. This is a 9th level spell.
You can't actually drop the 9!
So you need to beat a 19.
I need to be a 19.
Yes.
My
Don't you have a
spellcasting.
D6? Don't you have a D6 from
No.
You
I
heard
think
that
it's a
fucking D6 because of bonus actions.
My spellcasting modifier is 5.
Right. So roll a d20.
14.
So I have to roll a 14.
You have to roll a 14 or higher.
Okay,
That's
okay,
plenty
okay,
of outs.
okay.
That's plenty of outs.
I have a 25% chance of hitting this. Yeah. Give it to me. Give it to me.
On everybody.
I must overcome the man.
You'll dream about this forever.
Take a fucking picture of that. Oh my god.
Moments like that. That's what D&D is all about, you know? I wonder what spell Ludinus was trying to cast. I mean, it could have been Psychic Scream because Matt mentioned briefly this influence on their minds, but I actually think it might have been weird because he specifically talked about their like fears coming to the surface, and that spell is about like using a character's or a creature's fears against them. I reckon that counterspell moment, I think that's gonna go down in Critical Role history. It was so good. After the group successfully fend off Ludinus Light, they get ready to teleport to Whitestone because they realize that they can siphon the power of the shard of the Fire Titan with the funnel contraption that they gave to Imahara Joe to fix in Whitestone. But we have to wait until next episode to see that teleport role revealed. And speaking of that shard, I think it's time to get into the juicy Evontra'vir lore. It's lore time. So Evontra'vir is a giant tree, like an ant-like being who's sort of all-knowing, all-seeing, but in that mystical Dungeons & Dragons way where they tell you everything and also like nothing. Ooh, I can see your future, but it's not for me to tell you your future. I'm not gonna tell you anything solid. Because the Dungeon Master can't predict what's gonna happen and can't give any like solid intel on the character's future because who knows what's gonna happen in the game. As we learned previously, Evontra'vir is the spirit of a Galdrashari, one of the ancient sect of druids from before the Calamity who were protectors and caretakers of the imprisoned primordial titans, Kamorda and Raushan. Oh my god, that's my Tamagotchi. Guys, I bought a Tamagotchi at PAX and I thought it was gonna be like fun nostalgia. I forgot that they're like so needy. Yes, anyway, they were sort of caretakers of the imprisoned primordial titans, Kamorda and Raushan. These primordial titans were imprisoned by the prime deities following the first war between the gods, the Schism. Now, if you haven't watched EXU Calamity, firstly, what are you doing? It is
incredible.
But secondly, you need to know some of the stuff that happened in that series to fully grasp the significance of Evontra'vir. So, way back in Exandria's history, during the Age of Arcanum, there was a city called Toramunda that was built around and on a mountain. The city was founded by the druids, the Galdrashari, but over time other people came to live there, including wizards and mages. And you know, mage is gonna mage, and they wanted to take the top half of the mountain, the top half of Toramunda, and turn it into a flying city. The mages approached the Galdrashari and the two groups made a deal. The mages could take the top half of the mountain under two conditions. Number one, the flying city would return every 7 years to land and sort of expel magic that had picked up on its travels into the surrounding land. This event would be known as the replenishment.
Tonight, as we all know, marks the eve of the replenishment and our return to Cath Moira, our terrestrial sister city.
And two, and this was a secret part of the deal that almost no one knew about, the flying city would contain a magical and sacred tree called the Tree of Names. The Galdrashari wouldn't tell the mages what it was for because they were like worried that they were going to mess it up with their like hubris, but we learned through EXU Calamity that the Tree of Names was casting and writing a magical spell of protection upon Exandria.
A tree to protect Exandria. To scribe the names of those things beyond, which should not come.
So, with this deal in place, the city split into two, with the top half of the mountain becoming the flying city Avalir, and the remaining city below being called Cath Moira. This deal was orchestrated by Emir Porco, the grandfather of Paisha Porco, who was Marisha's character in EXU Calamity, and we learned that Evontra'vir, the Tree of Atrophy, was once a Galdrashari who made that deal with Emir. Hey, so this Tree of Names and the Tree of Atrophy have got to be, like, connected, right? Yes! I really think so. We haven't got any in-game confirmation, so this is like all wild speculation, but a very, very significant thing that happened to the Tree of Names is that a mage with a whole lot of hubris, Laren Koramar Sealy, Abria's character in EXU Calamity, cast Blight on the tree.
It is still your turn.
I cast Blight.
Blight is a spell which specifically drains the moisture and vitality from a creature or plant. And what is atrophy but the wasting away of something? But the Tree of Names and the Tree of Atrophy can't be the same, right? Because Evontra'vir has a Galdrashari in it and the Tree of Names didn't, right? But I ask you, how do we know that the Tree of Names didn't? Perhaps when this deal between the mages and the Galdrashari was created, Evontra'vir, or whoever they were before they became Evontra'vir, went into the Tree of Names, or became the Tree of Names, and wrote that spell of protection on the world, and then when Laren cast Blight on it, it became the Tree of Atrophy. Right? Right? Yeah. Yeah, it checks out. I just think it makes perfect sense. And before you get in the comments at me, I know that we saw a vision of Evontra'vir like bamfing people away from what could be assumed to be the events of EXU Calamity. Sidebar, can we talk about how hilarious and silly it was for Ashton to like make a tree, smoke a pipe?
Be a small man for a moment, you big fuck.
But what if that vision was not of the Calamity, but of some other conflict? It could have been a red herring. I don't know, I got a good feeling about this theory, and honestly, I'll take it as a personal insult if it isn't true. Do you hear that, Matthew Mercer? By the way, shout out to my Twitch chat who gave me a lot of pieces of this puzzle. Love you, Twitch chat! Okay, so back to Avalier and Cathmoira. Once the Tree of Names was sundered by Laren's blight spell, Asmodeus and his forces crawled through it and began the attack which would begin the Calamity. The two primordial titans, Kamora and Raushan, that had been imprisoned under the mountain were released, and while the PCs in EXU Calamity could not stop the war between the gods, that would be kind of awkward since the Calamity has been published in like several books now, they were able to destroy the titans. Thanks to Chetney's grim psychometry feature, we saw this happening, and as the titans were destroyed, shards of them went flying, including the one that they found in the pool of lava. Evontra'vir told the group how Ashton's father, Efterin, sought a shard of the Earth Titan, and knowing what would happen when Efterin tried to use it, Evontra'vir told him where to find it. Efterin then took this shard and attempted some kind of magical ritual with it at the Hashari village, and the shard ended up inside of Ashton, making them an Earth Genasi and a Titan of Blood. I find that phrase really, like, trips over the tongue. Titan of Blood. Blood of Titan. No, wait, it's Blighton of Tud. No, it's Titan of Blood. What? No. I'm confused myself. Evontra'vir said while it was Ashton's destiny to find the shard of the Fire Titan, it wasn't a good idea for Ashton to be the one to absorb it because holding the two shards in the same body could be very dangerous and potentially kill Ashton. So after claiming the fire shard from a literal pool of lava, the group start leaning towards Fern taking it since she is a wildfire druid. And yeah, it would be crazy if they tried to give it to anyone else. I'm so curious to know what's going to happen to Fern once she takes in that power, and like, I'm hoping by doing so it will unlock some special abilities or powers within Ashton, because this whole quest felt like it sort of revolved around Ashton, but now Fern is the one getting the reward. So hopefully like it'll be kind of a double whammy for both of them. Oh, Twitch chat clued me in on a really interesting connection potentially between Raushan, the Fire Titan, and Campaign 1. In Campaign 1, one of the big bad evil guys was Thordak, the Cinder King, an ancient red dragon who had been imprisoned in the Fire Plane by a bunch of people, including Allura Vysoren, with the use of a soul anchor, which was like this giant crystal in his chest that tethered him to the Fire Plane. Now, Allura and company made that soul anchor using, and I quote,
"To bind him, we created an artifact called a soul anchor. It was crafted from the salvaged heart crystal of a primordial fire titan.
Since like shards of the Titans kind of went flying everywhere, maybe this crystal that was in Thordak was one of those shards. That would be a really cool throwback. Please let me know all of your thoughts and theories about Ludinus, Evontra'vir, and the Titans in the comments, and if you enjoy this kind of lore deep dive, may I humbly suggest this video where I do a deep dive into the lore and history of Whitestone. Oh, it's right here. Bye! Oh yeah. Bye!